Welcome back, Vinyl Community. Got another update for you guys. Some recent pickups. What we're listening to: roots reggae out of Toronto, Canada, circa the late 1970s. Group called the Soul Explosion Band. Track called Too Much Confusion, title track of their second LP. We were never sent here to live like beasts. Got these courtesy of Vinyl Community member Rob, aka Vinyl79. Somehow he found a whole box of these still sealed since the late 70s. So I was happy to snag these up. Thanks, Rob. Got their debut album, Out of Many One People, Soul Explosion Band. There they are there. Recorded in Toronto, Canada. Second LP, Too Much Confusion. And that was actually the 12-inch single, also included. Too Much Confusion. Very nice finds. Came with this cool custom sleeve as well. Thanks, Rob. Digger Extraordinaire. Check out his channel by all means if you haven't. Amazing finds he's always showing. I'll put a link in the comments down below. Also, if you want to know more about some of the records I'll be showing, I often post them on Facebook or Instagram with more info, so check that out as well. Link in the description, as well as some sound clips. Also got a delayed package from Trish with some of her custom mixes. Thank you, Trish. These were from Christmas. Kind of got delayed due to a change in address. So very nice mix of Christmas-themed tunes, soul and Caribbean style from Trish. Thank you very much, Trish. Also sent me Damian Marley's, I think his debut album, Mr. Marley, Damian Junior Gong. This has got his big tune, Me Name Junior Gong. I like that one. It's on his Father Bob's Crazy Bald Heads rhythm. I saw Damian Marley live several years back at the height of his Welcome to Jamrock, his big hit there. Saw him live in Vancouver, so that was cool. A few recent pickups. I had a haul of Light in the Attic and Mr. Bongo pickups. They had some sales on, got some cheap stuff. I was thinking of doing a whole video just of those, but I think I'll just mix them in with the regular videos, space it out. From Light in the Attic, Donnie and Joe Emerson. What is this one? It's called The Lost Recordings. Still Dreamin' Wild, I believe. Still Dreamin' Wild, The Lost Recordings. Of course, their debut album, reissued by Light in the Attic, was called Dreamin' Wild. They were from a small farm town in Washington State. Recorded some great dreamy pop, kind of heavily influenced by Hall & Oates and some of that kind of late 70s rock going into the early new wave stuff. Very nicely arranged, composed by these two brothers. Quite enjoyed that one. I'll have to get the Dreamin' Wild album. I haven't heard that one before. Also got two by Peter King from Mr. Bongo. He was a Nigerian jazz-influenced musician. This one is called Shango, from the early 70s, originally released. Afrobeat, jazz-influenced, heavily politicized, with songs like Freedom Dance, Prisoner of Law, having kind of a hard-hitting political edge to them. Excellent Afrobeat. Also picked up his album Milikai Sound. Mr. Bongo had a huge sale on some of their titles, so I grabbed quite a bit. I'll space them out over a few videos just to break it up, but got those crazy cheap, $5 to $10 most of them, vinyl and CDs. Getting into a few thrift finds. Start off with a couple of CDs, still on the African tip. Amadou and Mariam, Welcome to Mali. This is from 2008 CD. This is still sealed. I haven't listened to it yet. Found this at the thrift store the other day. I do have another album by them, so I do know what to expect. They are a blind married couple from Mali. They've been active musically since kind of late 70s, early 80s. This was their 2008 release. Was nominated for a Grammy for Best World Music. So lovely African music there. Found this one. This is not a DVD, but actually a CD, 3 CD set from Byron Lee, the Jamaican band leader, producer, studio owner. He owned Dynamic Sound Studios, which he bought from the future Jamaican Prime Minister Edward Seaga. Byron Lee first appeared in the first James Bond movie, Dr. No, in 1962. Then a couple of years later, he represented Jamaica at the New York World's Fair, promoting ska music. He was heavily involved with ska, was involved in working with many of the top players of the time, Toots and the Maytals, Jimmy Cliff, the Blues Busters, as well as his own band, the Dragonaires. He moved through various styles over the years. Last several years, he focused on soca, which is kind of a more up-tempo, dance-friendly version of calypso. It was very popular in the Caribbean communities. I know when he would come to my town, it was always an event when he would come. So this is a 50th anniversary compilation, 1956, which I guess was when he first formed the band, to 2006. Can't even find this one on Discogs, but 3 discs over various styles. A lot of soca on here, which I always thought I never really liked that much, but got to admit there's some bangers on here. Not really a deep music, but definitely a party music. You're not going to be standing on the sidelines holding up the walls when this is playing. 1 disc, unfortunately, is a lot of easy listening instrumentals, Unchained Melody, Whiter Shade of Pale. That's a pretty dodgy side, but the ska and soca on here is good. Thrift finds, getting into some vinyl. This was a total blind buy, French one out of Montreal, Canada. J.P. Ferland, Jean-Pierre Ferland. It's an album called Jaune on the Barclay label. I think this is 1971. He started out as a chanson singer, kind of folky, folk-influenced French chanson. Recorded this album in the early 70s, heavily influenced, I guess, by the Beatles. There's quite a bit of studio effects on there and kind of Beatlesque orchestral flourishes. There's some tape delays and slowed down effects and things like that. One of the songs on here was later covered by Charlotte Gainsbourg in the 2000s, Le Chant de Café des Artistes. Nice kind of psych-influenced LP out of Quebec. It's actually in this book called The Top 100 Canadian Albums, which I just happen to have, obviously. There he is. Number 71, Jaune, Jean-Pierre Ferland. And there's also a list of the top 10 Quebec albums, and he's number 1 on that one. So that was one I'd not heard of before. He has reissued this album in the early 2000s in a deluxe edition. Also performed with Celine Dion. Twin Connection, this was a nice one to find. Late 60s on the Decca label. It's in nice condition. They were a pair of identical twins, Jerry and Jay Hopkins, out of Helena, Montana. Moved to the West Coast, started doing the coffee house circuit, folk circuit. Recorded this kind of sunshiny pop, Baroque kind of pop, 60s pop in the LA area. Recorded 1 album. Was unfortunately not promoted as well as it could. I think the Decca label was sold shortly after, didn't get promoted, and soon was relegated to the telltale cutout bins. I don't know what this LE stamp refers to, but very nice, kind of psychedelic influenced 60s pop, harmony pop, very nice stuff. Happy to find that one. On the similar kind of tip, found this one, the Gainsborough Gallery. Again, 60s pop, kind of a Motown and Blue-Eyed Soul influence on this one, on the Canadian Rio label. Very nice shape again. Happy to find that one. They were out of Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Had a few record store finds, went downtown one day. I didn't have a whole lot of luck, but I did find this one in the cheap bins for a couple of bucks. Bobby Whitlock. He was a member of Derek and the Dominoes with Eric Clapton. This was his debut solo album from the early 70s. Very much in that southern kind of mix of gospel, country, blues. You know what you're getting, just by the look of it. I think his first couple of albums have been reissued in recent years. Found this one super cheap. Was happy to pick this up. Never owned this one before. Debut by Traffic. on Polydor. A few light scratches, but other than that, and some cover wear, but other than that, great shape. I think it was under $5. Plays terrific. Last couple finds, I was going to pay for those two, was about to head out the door of this particular store and noticed they had a box of brand new vinyl on sale, so had a flip and found a couple of things there. This is a 2018 release from Holly Cook. She is the daughter of Paul Cook, drummer of the Sex Pistols. Her mother was a backing singer for Culture Club. Boy George is actually her godfather. This is her third full-length vocal album, I believe, Vessel of Love from 2018. And she had kind of got her start in music as a member of the 2000s incarnation of the Slits, recruited by the late Ari Up, before embarking on a solo career heavily influenced by reggae, particularly lovers rock, dub, and still with a certain punk or post-punk aesthetic or attitude. Jaw Wobble is on bass on several tracks here. I think Keith Levine is on one track on guitar as well. Very nice album from Holly Cook. Been meaning to get into her for a while. That's my first pickup by her. Last find I'll show you was another one in the same box. Brand new release from 2018. The Congos and Pura Vida, Morning Star. The Congos are legendary Jamaican roots harmony, originally a duo, became a trio, recording for Lee Scratch Perry at the height of the Black Ark in Jamaica. Released an album called Heart of the Congos, which is an absolutely mind-boggling masterpiece of an album, legendary. I would easily put it high on my list of top 10 reggae albums. Been reissued in recent years by the VP record label, Heart of the Congos Deluxe Edition. First introduced to me by the Blood and Fire edition in the 2000s. Absolute masterpiece of an album. Lee Scratch Perry at the height of his powers. This is a 2018 release with them collaborating with a Belgian producer named Puraman. Brett Puraman de Bover leads a band called Pura Vida. He's one of these kind of 2000s studio auteurs. They're musicians themselves, have their kind of home studios set up to kind of recreate the analog vibes of classic reggae, the classic reggae of the 70s, and bring it forward into the 2000s, and often work with these kind of veteran artists, giving them a shot in the arm late in their careers. So very excellent album. Finds him almost a fourth member of the group, doing lead vocals on a couple of songs, but those instantly recognizable harmonies of the Congos in a 2018 style. Keeping it on the studio auteur tip, I also picked up one of the recent releases from Lee Scratch Perry, picked it up on CD, the Black Album. This finds him working with a similar kind of producer, Daniel Boyle out of the UK. Again, got his home studio set up to these guys are heavily influenced by Lee Perry, so they set up their studios to recapture those vibes. And this finds Lee Perry in the his kind of spoken word style of recent decades since the demise of the Black Ark, with all vocals followed by dubs. Very excellent release by Daniel Boyle. So that's what I've got for you today, guys. I will have more very soon. Want to thank everybody for watching, for commenting, and take care. Talk soon. Bye.